Greetings, denizens of the internet. Playing your character well is one way to enhance your D&D experience and make a fantastic story. Today I'm going to give you a sneak peek behind the Dungeon Master screen and show you a time when my players thwarted my story and made for themselves an epic ending. I did not see it coming. Sit back and enjoy the ride. My name is Brian Carey, and I am the Savvy Barbarian. This story is really about the impact your players can have on your game. I ran this game for some level 1s, just starting out. As usual, I was the Dungeon Master. Usually you can't get away with stealing a player's free agency. They just won't submit to going to jail. But you can start them out in jail. Skyrim, anyone? All my level 1 players started off in jail cells. Eventually, they managed to break out of their individual cells and into a long hallway. At the end of the long hallway was a heavy, rusted steel door. They peeked through the window to see what they could see, and they saw a guard napping at his desk. They thought if they could just get through this door, they could get away. I wasn't about to let that happen. Fact was, none of them had any magic, except for the cleric, and she picked rubbish spells. I mean, sure, she had Sacred Flame, but she also had Light and Mending. What good was that? I mean, the Mend spell? Come on, that's a rubbish spell. What can you do with that? Fix a little thing? That's just silly. Sacred Flame only does a few points of damage. It wasn't going to damage this door. The rusty door would stay firm. I don't care if they rolled a 20. They would have to roll a 30 to get through this door. A door that nobody could break through? This would serve to be the seeds of my own undoing. After feeling quite frustrated, unable to breach the door, they finally found the loose floor drain that I had placed for them to escape. They escaped down the sewer drain into catacombs and into tunnels, where there they faced a cavern of goblins that had infested the side of the city wall. Eventually they found a hidden subterranean temple. There was a riddle. Had they solved it, it would have opened another antechamber, given them all manner of great loot. But they didn't solve it, so I didn't give them the loot. They fought more goblins, and by this time they'd lost about half their hit points. This is good. This is what minions are for. I don't want you walking up to my boss monster with all your spells and all your health. I want to grind you down first. That's the whole point of minions. You have to be able to survive the minions before you're worthy to fight the boss monster.
We're not worthy!
They happened upon a long winding staircase, which led them up toward the surface. Eventually, they found their way back into the jail from whence they started. But this time, they were on the other side of the rusted steel door. They sneaked up on the sleeping guard, where I knew they would do the one thing they were supposed to do, and that was kill the guard. I mean, let's face it, his guts would look better on the outside. But then a curious thing happened. They didn't kill the guard. They put a knife to his throat and woke him up. They threatened him. They said to him, "Give us the key to get out of the prison." But the guard didn't have the key. The only key he had opened the locker room behind him. So while one of them held the guard at knife point, the others used the key and opened the guard's locker room. I described the room like I would any other locker room. It was full of lockers, guard uniforms, random junk, laundry, and a great wooden chest. Obviously, they're going to be drawn to the great wooden chest, but were they? Oh, no. No, for some reason, my players put on the guard uniforms. And we allow this in Dungeons & Dragons. If you're a medium-sized creature, any other medium-sized creature's clothes or armor will fit you. Now they had all donned guard uniforms. Finally, they opened the chest, where I gave them some lovely trinkets, but not the key to get out of the main gate. The fighter went up to the formerly sleeping guard and said, "How do we get out of this room?" "The warden is the only one with the key. I pull the string and it rings a bell and he comes and lets us in and out. He's the only one with the key." Now the players had a plan. They'd ring the bell, call the warden, who was the boss monster, and slay him and walk right out the front door. This is exactly what I wanted them to do. I had planned an elaborate battle. The warden was a huge hobgoblin. He would be flanked by 2 more guards. When the warden was down to about half his hit points, I would have him blow on a trumpet, signaling 6 more guards to come. My plan was to have an epic battle at the end, leaving 1 or 2 players left standing if at all possible. That was my endgame. That's what I was going to do. A giant fight at the end, with a giant boss monster and a bunch of ads, and I just hoped everything would go to plan and I wouldn't totally wipe the party. Sounded like a great ending to me. None of that happened. Oh, they rang the bell, and the captain came in, and he had the key, and he showed it to them, and explained how they would never escape. And the fight commenced. Now, remember, my players were already at about half their hit points, so they battled valiantly, but I wasn't sure that they were going to win. The battle raged back and forth. Everything was going as I had foreseen it. When the hobgoblin got down to a little under half his hit points, he pulled out his trumpet and blew the warning. 6 more guards would be on their way in only 2 turns. The ranger got in a critical strike. Stupid natural 20s. And the hobgoblin, with his final breath, pulled the key from his pocket and said, "You will never escape!" And he snapped the key with his bare hands, and 500 pounds of hobgoblin fell upon the broken key, collapsing on top of it, barring their way from escape. The fighter rushed to the body and tried to roll him over and get the pieces of the broken key. Oh no, the mend spell. By that time, 6 more guards had rushed into the door. "What's going on here?" "They killed the captain," the fighter said. "They went through the rusted steel door. They're the fools, they ran down that way. Get them, if you hurry, you can get them." Oh, that's how you want to play it, huh? No. This isn't how this works. We have an epic battle to the death, and most of you die. What? And the fighter says to me, "We're wearing guard uniforms. We bluff." So I have the fighter do a performance check. And my guards roll an insight check. And he won. The guards rushed through the rusty steel door, and the players ran behind them and locked them in. Remember the rusty steel door that nobody could open? The fighter manages to get the 2 pieces of the broken key from underneath the hobgoblin. The cleric casts the mend spell.
The mend spell? Come on, that's a rubbish spell.
Fixes the key, and the players walked right out the front gate. My players started screaming. They were elated and started jumping up and down. And to be honest, it was a better ending than I could have ever come up with. It's a great example of what good players can do to a story. They made the story their own. They didn't just take what I handed them on a silver platter. They didn't do what I expected them to do. They didn't try to figure out what I wanted them to do and go do that thing. They made the story their own. They made different decisions, and I had to solve their solutions, and it made for a better story than I could have ever come up with on my own. Well, hope you enjoyed today's tale. And now I'm giving you a noble quest. You need to click the subscribe button, the like button, the thumbs up, the little ring the bell. You know the drill. If you like this video and you'd like to support it, help me make more videos. I've got a link to a couple of my books down here in the Trumpery. If you buy both my books, you'll probably put about $5 in my pocket. I'd really appreciate it. This is Brian Carey, reminding you to be a scholar and a barbarian.